Welcome to EIPIP Meeting 105. This is issue number 337 on ETH Herders EIPIP GitHub repository. On our agenda, we have items to discuss with respect to open issues and pull requests. We would like to discuss some of the changes to the final proposals, some updates to EIP1, which has been standing for quite some time. And there are I think one or two issues that may require some attention. Other than that, I'm curious to hear thoughts about EIP versioning proposal. This proposal is in the pull request for about 6 months now, but in the recent days, we have received strong recommendation coming up from the testing team. So I would love editors' feedback on this proposal, and if we can perhaps merge this and look into some of the other details that requires editor's attention. There is a process document shared by Tim Baker recently about all core dev, network upgrade, and Eve Magician process improvement. So if we can collect some feedbacks and thoughts on that, that would be nice to have. We can perhaps take a look at EIPS Insight for the month of May as well as June. Yeah, so that's all about it. Let's go ahead and begin with the item number 1, which is edits to final proposal. We are talking about the PR on EIP GitHub repository, and the number is 8607. It suggests a change to proposal 2982, EIP 2982 to fix table. Yeah, but surprisingly, I don't find an error when I look that EIP on eips.ethereum.org. I wonder if anyone can see it differently, and if there is an error, can we merge this PR?
I can take a look, and I think it's okay if they actually say display issue, we should.
I think he has just added a header, and I think that the rendering might not be an issue at all.
Yeah.
So there could be no actual issue. Maybe the person is just trying to get in a contribution. But even that, the valid, I think the CI is not passing. So unless he can fix other things in that particular EIP to make CI pass, we won't be able to merge it anyway.
Right, that was my fear in the first place, that when I look into that EIP, it seems perfectly all right, and table is rendering just perfect. So I wasn't sure like what this pull request is all about. Very well. I don't know if
right. It seems it's rendering correctly. This one doesn't add merit.
Then in that case, we might want to close the PR.
Maybe try rendering it in the GitHub itself. Maybe there is some issue over there. I don't know.
It would be nice, like someone can maybe review, and if that seems to be not adding value to the existing EIP, which is already in final status, we may perhaps want to close that pull request. Very well. The next one is on the EIP GitHub repository, and the PR number is 8590. So this seems like we have received a 2 editors comment here. One says that it can be merged, and another one says that it cannot be merged. I wonder what people think. Do we need to create a call for input for this to make sure that we have all editors on board? Yeah, please share your thoughts.
I mean, it's only adding the fork time to a value which was TBD, which should not have been in the first case when it was sort of moved to review, as at least at the final call. So, I mean, I'm okay with this. I don't see a problem.
There were many previous core EIPs that's if they specify fork number, it was left TBD until very long. It seems common. We don't have I don't think we currently have very strict way to track we didn't make it a strict rule to enforce this. as far as I can remember. But I'm also okay for this to be merged into it. I don't have strong
I mean,
objection.
even if an EIP is going into final, there should be no TBD.
I agree. Yeah, we can perhaps make it a point like whenever anything is moving from last call to final proposal, there should not be any TBD. Either you remove that section entirely if you do not have any final value to be added there, or else we should have a number. Very well, it seems like Victor is also not opposing merging the PR. We can perhaps like maybe check with Sam as well if he has any strong opinion. Otherwise, this pull request can be merged. So we can wait for another week or
I
so.
think
And
we need to check with Matt because he's the one who sort of opposed it.
right. Okay, so we'll keep it open for another meeting, or if we can get any answer from Matt, I will try to check it async on our Discord. We'll merge it, otherwise we'll bring it up in the next meeting. The next one is PR number 8390, which is for fixing EIP 152. It's a kind of a fixed reference test. Seems like the authors who may perhaps approve or like confirm the changes, they are not around. I remember a few years ago, we had this discussion, like what do we do with the pull requests for which we do not have author around. The general idea was to merge it with the editor's permission, like editors can override the author's permission here, but there was no timeline defined, like after how long. What we were practicing in those days were like keep it open for about a month, and if we do not hear from the author and editors strongly feel that this can be merged, there is no problem in merging that, they can perhaps override and merge. I wonder what editors on board here think about it, and can we maybe add one sentence defining the timeline about how long should we keep this kind of proposal open when editors are fine merging them. Okay, call for action. That's a good suggestion. We can do that. But in general, what are your thoughts? Like maybe we can keep it open for a month. Does that 4 weeks timeline sounds okay for any PR to be open where editors are fine merging them and we do not hear from author? Okay. Cool. Cool. So we can perhaps create a call for input for that one. The next one is an update to EIP1. I'm not very sure about the user also who has added some comments at the bottom. So just wondering if that user seems to be a spam and
Definitely
issue.
spam.
All right. And
there's some bilingual jokes, but if you speak Spanish, it's definitely spam. It's kind of a these nuts comment.
Very well. And this pull request seems
PR
to have
is
received.
not spam, but yeah, the comments in the end are spam.
Yeah, the PR is not. The PR seems to have received quite a lot of thumbs up, and I remember seeing some tweets around that as well. It seems people are generally on board. Is there anything specific that we are waiting for? Or can it be force merge?
Fine with me. I'm not waiting for anything.
I think Sam already approved it. I don't know.
Yeah.
What it's waiting for.
I'm not sure if someone can maybe try closing and opening the issue. It may merge this proposal directly. If not, then I will bring it to the next editing office hour to check with Sam if he can force merge.
2 more reviews, so I can approve it, and then
yeah, okay.
I think one of the either Victor or Matt needs to approve it as well.
Sorry, which one?
8247.
A2430. Okay, yeah, I was approving the previous one. They just need another approval. Okay. I need to take a look. It seems like.
Very well. So it's just approving issues, looks like for that one. If someone can approve and it gets merged, fair enough. If not, then we'll bring it to the next office hour to make sure it is merged. The next
So
one
I
seems,
approved it, and I think one more approval would be needed.
thank you. Victor, if you get a chance, please take a look. And if you find it okay, then maybe it can be merged automatically. The next one is a PR 8503. It seems to be a pull request by Sam Wilson to update EIP 1 for EEST. I think EELS test. EELS is the specification that they are building around execution client. To me, it seems like it is just waiting on editor's approval. So if editors can maybe take a look at this one as well. The PR number is 8503. I'm not sure if this is defined anywhere, but it should have been. Maybe EIP 1 changes requires more than 3 editors approval. Cool.
Yeah,
So
I think so. So I approved it as well. So maybe 2 more are needed.
Yeah, and I don't think Sam would be able to because he is the author of this one. So we might want to look for other editors on call. Okay, cool. Thank you, Victor.
So Victor and Matt.
Victor has already approved, so we'll check with Matt for all of these if he can approve them. The next one is a miscellaneous issue, and the issue is okay, fine. I'm not sure what proposer wants to do over here. It doesn't seems like it is added with some of the pull requests. If it is a general question which the author, which the user could not find a good place to write the question to receive an answer, this could be one, or else it could be a spam one.
Are we talking about A610?
That's right.
The person says they are not able to create one.
Yeah, this seems unclear, like what is the question here? What kind of response he's expecting? Maybe someone can take a look, and if this seems like an spam, definitely the next comment seems like an spam. Here it's in different language. So
Sort of a technical query that he wants to do some signing and across chains, and I don't know what he wants it to happen in certain way.
My view is this should be posted on the Ether scan, Ethereum magician. This is a technical discussion, and the way how they posted is not the best way to generate the proper discussion. If they cannot do it, I can help cross post it. I don't fully understand what they meant. But yeah, I don't think anyone is blocked from using Ethereum magician.
that's right. Maybe we can add a comment over here to check with the user if he has any specific query with respect to like changing chains with respect to EIP 712, and if he can maybe start a conversation at FEM.
Yeah, it sounds to me like something specific to like MetaMask or VM or some. The question isn't even a question that I think the authors of EIP 712 could answer. It's like something more mundane about implementation, wallet or browser implementation.
Right.
In any case, I think Victor's right that it is very weird to post here because you can't figure out the discourse plug it, identity system. ETH Magicians is pretty easy to set up an account. I mean, I guess I haven't done it recently, but I wonder what they meant about not being able to post there.
All right. All right. So we can just drop a comment for the user and Jia will take it from there. If he or she may find any issue creating account, we can perhaps help getting that done. Very well. We do not see any call for input this week. That's great. Surprisingly, this is the first week, as far as I can remember, that there is no call for input. So let's move on to the next section for the agenda, and that is other discussions and updates from the past meetings. So in one of the earlier meetings, we talked about EIP versioning proposal. I think I have added the link to the pull request, that is 8034. This EIP was proposed back in December 2023. It seems we had quite a lot of conversation and discussion on Fellowship of Ethereum Magician. And these people are very much willing to get the proposal merged and in draft, so they can use this number, start talking about it. And recently in today's EOF meeting and also in earlier EOF meetings, testing team showed great support of the versioning scheme for EIPs. The questions that they are wondering are, like, can we add this change log section to EIP template in like preamble section? And who should be the best person to update this change log? Like, can it be the author? Can it be the editor? They want this thing to exist in order to make sure that test cases they are developing are with respect to a specific EIP, and they would be following it easily if the change log number is changed, so they know that their spec is not up to date and they can perhaps update that. I wonder what the editors think about it, and can we merge this proposal?
So editor opinion on my side, editorial opinion is that this kind of proposal should be able to merge as a draft and as a proposal to generate more discussion. Because it's a policy discussion. My governance comment on this is that I'm generally in favor of supporting versioning and upgradability, like improvement on EIP and ERCs. The hard part is about defining who gets to own the newer version, who gets to decide which newer version is the canonical one. There's definitely going to be cases where there's a base version, let's say EIP 712 as an example, and there will be different opinions in how they would be extended. So I think in our Juan Bumblefudge is here, so he has experience with IETF. How IETF works is that they define this kind of working group, and working group owns the current and future RFCs under that working group. And the IETF has governance process to define which RFCs fall under the care of which working group and how to start a working group. Currently, it's hard. So I think the governance of this meta proposal should be surfaced to the working group, to the roadmap that project you also proposed should be included in that kind of discussion. Otherwise, it is going to be hard to do within the current setup. So in some quick summary, editorially, I'm in favor of merging it so that people can discuss. On the governance side, I don't know how to do it. I think it needs to be included in the working group and roadmap discussion of.
So just to be clear, is the proposal saying that while the EIP is in review, it can have multiple versions? I don't understand, because once the EIP is final, there is just single canonical version, because it's talking about the standard track EIPs.
That is correct. The idea here is to when client goes for implementation, they come up with different spec changes. So keep track of these spec changes. They want to version it in terms of major, minor, and patch. And there are further discussions around like what they would like to capture. According to them, major should be any breaking changes to specification. Minor could be anything in addition to specification, but does not require changing an existing implementation. And patch could be like something cosmetic if we are doing. For example, I mean, even I was engaged in this conversation. For example, here, like if a proposal is under draft or review, and they are being considered for a next network upgrade, client can go ahead and implement that with one spec. But if there is any minor spec change or major spec change, that is not possible to be tracked because we do not have versioning and testing team are not aware of that. So this particular proposal will be able to provide them that visibility. And once the proposal is final, it is final. Then we do not expect any change. But in case of any cosmetic change, say for example, we receive some typo error, so we can perhaps change the number of a patch. It is in terms of x dot y dot z. So we can perhaps keep on changing of the number of patch, and testing team does not have to do anything with that. But for general people, they would know that this proposal may have received some changes. I'm sorry, wasn't my audio very clear?
No, it came good. It came through good. Well, sorry.
Yeah, so that's the idea here.
I mean,
I think mm, my opinion on this is that we shouldn't be doing anything because, for example, if we look at the DevNet process, right? So how it moves is that at some particular DevNet target, you have some particular spec that is already outlined, and the spec team can just link the EIP with the particular commit hash, right? So it doesn't really change anything. I think it only increases the bookkeeping and is unnecessary in my opinion, because more things you ask people to bookkeep, harder the process will be.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I've been thinking this whole time that like with Casa specs, sometimes we do commit specific links if something's changing. And you know, there's commit specific links were just added from in that the EIP1 PR to add Casa links. Perhaps because we started that precedent of using them internally to refer back to, like, you know, but sometimes when there's major changes to spec cape before final, we say before this commit the syntax was totally different, so old implementations older than that may have legacy whatever. So yeah, I mean, I would also say that since it's already happening on GitHub, maybe GitHub is good enough or simpler to peg to testing. I would say that if this were added, it could be maybe like optional front matter, so that if an EIP just totally wants to ignore it, they just can, and if someone messes it up, it doesn't throw a wrench in the whole thing. Like, I feel like if you make it load bearing and then someone forgets to bump the version or bumps a Y instead of a Z when they're just fixing a typo, then it creates this whole governance thing because you were assuming they were always accurate. Like, if you made it sort of a optional informational SemVer thing, it might be really useful to some working groups or some EIPs, and then the rest could ignore it. I don't know.
That sounds like a good suggestion. Like, for example, we have an optional preamble field where we add the EIP number as, like, required EIPs for the proposal. It's not for all of the proposal, but for certain proposals which are kind of enhancement on any existing one, they use this field. So if protocol upgrade testing team is requesting for this kind of specs, editors may consider it for as an optional field. And this may or may not be needed for, say, for example, ERCs or RIPs. It can be used as needed. Otherwise, we can define a default value that can be used. For example, EIP 712.000. So no changes, nothing like that. We can start with a default value, and only for the proposals which may require this kind of change in spec changes can use that. I wonder, Gajendra, do you think it is still adding too much on authors or editors to maybe keep a track of?
Yeah, I mean, again, editors won't be able to take a call on all the proposals, whether it is a minor version or a major version or a patch version change, right? And but again, we can defer it to the EIP authors for that. But or maybe optional can work, but again, in terms of practicality, I actually see. I mean, it's basically easy for someone just to clone the repo and attach a tag to it and use that tag to circulate it. So I'm not really sure, basically, but if this is just to be for people who are doing dev work on that EIP, I mean they can track it in better mechanisms. And actually, for example, what I mentioned earlier was that people would want to look at some particular DevNet spec rather than at some particular version, because that is what they are targeting to dev with other tools.
Thank you. Victor, do you have anything to add on this one?
I don't. I think it's up for the community to decide whether they want it. I think it's okay to merge into it, and then also I would personally suggest them to make it informational rather than meta. But other than that, it should be okay to at least ask. Yeah.
All right, so I think we had three basic questions here. Number one, can this be merged today? It seems like there is no strong objection on merging this one. Number two, can changelog section be added to preamble? Like it can be added as a preamble optional, but that would require again EIP template change, which we will bring it in the next meeting. And the third question was like, who will be owning this changelog update? It's very much convincing that editors may not be able to make a decision on that. So it has to be on the author if he or she decides to change the log, I mean, update the log. One thing, just quickly to respond to Victor, I don't think it can be an informational. It has to be a meta, because if we are adding it in preamble, that needs to change the template as well. And that can only be done on if it is something to be followed by all proposals. But as an optional field, it would be, again, optional for the proposal to include or not include this particular field in a proposal.
If it needs to be added to this preamble, I agree it must be meta. I think actually adding it to the preamble could be a separate meta proposal rather than proposing this versioning schema. I think the versional schema could start as an informational, and every EIP author who wants to do it can just specify it within their own the body of that EIP. Nobody can disagree with them that there's a versioning in their own body. Once more we see more adoption, I think we can put them into the preamble. I would be a little bit worried about prematurely adding preamble for this practice before it becomes widely adopted.
Sounds good to me. And thank you for merging the proposal. We can perhaps have further discussion on all-core dev meeting and try to collect some feedbacks from client development team as well as testing team. I'm hoping them to be there as well on the call to maybe share their point of view, and that would generate the status change for this proposal. Very well. At least now these guys will have an EIP number so they can start talking about it with different teams. Thank you for merging it. Moving on,
Yep,
thank you. Moving on, the next one is a proposal change. We briefly discussed this in the last EIPIP meeting. It seems that in NYOTA, there was some discussion around the EIPIP meeting, the processes around EIPs, and how some of the network upgrade process can be improved. I know this Fellowship of Ethereum Magician thread includes process improvement around multiple aspects. I'll be curious to maybe hear thoughts on the network upgrade process specifically. If I remember correctly, yes. So there is this proposal of aligning EIP with respect to network upgrade proposal process. So I'm curious what people think about integration in particular, and yeah, in general, if people have any thought on this particular set of process improvements, we can take it, and maybe if requires like longer discussion, can be a part of upcoming meetings agenda item. I mean, people can add the feedback async as well here. I wanted to bring it up in EIPIP meeting because I think if it is for process improvement, we might want to implement some of these proposals or may want to discuss it. So yeah, if it is too early, we can perhaps discuss it in the next meeting. Very well. The next is EIPS Insight and monthly EIPS status reporting. So I think the dashboard is up till May, but the EIPS Insight.com provides information for June, as well as the HackMD provides the information for the month of June. It seems like we have only 2 proposals added as draft. Both are ERC, and I think there is one more, but the scheduler is updating this dashboard once in 24 hours, so we might want to take a look into that. And we have received one proposal, which is an interface proposal. It's EIP 5792 wallet call API. The last call for last call deadline is June 26th. If anyone interested to add any feedback, comment to this proposal, please feel free to do so. You can always drop a comment on Fellowship of Ethereum Magician. And yeah, it would be nice to see the proposal moving forward. So that's on EIPS Insight. And after that, I think I have added a link to the agenda for EIP Editing Office, our meeting number 38. People can also watch the recording for meeting 37. And just quickly taking a look at the notes from the last meeting. Well, most of them are now closed. All right, I don't see any open action item pending for anyone. And Sam is not here, so we should be hoping to hear about working group chatter and in the next meeting or whenever he is around. That's pretty much covered the agenda for today. If anyone has anything else to maybe add or propose for the upcoming meeting. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and I look forward to see you in the next meeting 2 weeks from now. Thank you.